The Pagani Huayra BC is first a work of art and then a car. Named Huayra after the Quechua god of wind, this car is the complete package. Beautiful, powerful, fast, aerodynamic, advanced, expensive, and rare. This car has everything going for it. Needless to say, simulation is probably the only way we'll ever get an idea of how this car performs around the Imola. Let's do this. Hi there, my name is Neil and welcome to my channel. Today is day 4 here at Imola, which is in Italy, and it's time for a hypercar. And we've got another Italian car for this job. Today we are in the gorgeous Pagani Huayra BC. First I'm going to have a 5-lap race with 7 of other BCs here to try and find out what a fast competitive lap time in this car around the Imola is. Then we get to hot lapping, trying to chase down the fastest times that we have seen during the race and trying to get somewhat consistent at it. Then we get to the breakdown where we deep dive into the fastest lap that we have found from our hot lapping session and find out every technical details like braking points, turn-ins, exits, stuff like that. As of now, join you at the end of the race. So here are the race results, and the fastest lap time is a 147.179, which is pretty quick at the top of the food chain, but not something quite unattainable really. Looking at the other times though, well, my fastest time was a 147.766, which is in the middle of the pack somewhere. The slowest of the times being in the 148s, a 148.412 done by car number 4. So that gives us a delta of the entire 147s and 148s. Now if you look at the last laps, well, things get interesting. None of the times are nowhere near the 147s. In fact, all of them are in the late 148s and one even in the 150s. Well, to understand that, take a look at the gap here. The leading 2 cars were way down the field, finishing 0.454 seconds within each other. The next car, my car number 3, I came 3rd by the way, was 4.879 seconds off the leaders. And after that, all these 5 cars were covered within a delta of just 2 seconds. Looking at the sector times here, purple sector in sector 1 was a 32nd, same as me and a couple of other cars in the lead. Fastest sector 2 was 41.5, 0.1 second faster than mine, and the fastest sector 3 was a 35 dead, which is 0.3 second faster than what I did. Well, that gives us an idea of what we're looking at. Anything in the 147s and 148s is a pretty respectable time, but not the end of the world if it gets down as low as a very low 149s. So let's keep that in mind and get to hot lapping. Okay, before we start, let's look at the setup, which is particularly critical for this very car. Let me show you what I mean. We're going to leave as usual most of the mechanical bits in its standard settings, so the gears, tires. The hypercar road is the default option. This car also has a trofeo option, which is a lot grippier and faster than the road cars we are going to use because that's our default settings. That's what our benchmark times have come from. Other bits, bar from the electronics, we're going to leave them all unchanged. Now these tires, the road tires, can get a bit sketchy at the corner exits in particular. I mean, this is an extremely powerful turbocharged V12 engine, so I do not blame the tires really. In fact, it's to credit with the trofeo tires, which manage this power so well that I won't even think of keeping the traction control off. But in this case, I am keeping it on, and I will be using this red dial here. You see this? I'll be using this to control the traction control on the fly, because the traction control can get a bit nosy sometimes, particularly in straight line speeds where despite the car is going straight, the traction control cuts off power. So yeah, on the straights I'm going to turn the traction control off. Alright, clear enough. As of now, we'll leave the traction control at 2 and let's go for the drive now. Alright, here we go, starting our lap here. Now first of all, this engine has quite a unique sound. Many people like it, many hate it. Personally, I find it quite interesting, with the turbo sounds being so much more pronounced than usual. But coming from the Zonda V12s, the 7.3 liter, this sounds a bit muted, to be honest. Right, let's talk about the car a little bit, which we'll do in a moment. But before that, let's talk about the man himself, Horacio Pagani. So Mr. Pagani was previously employed at Lamborghini, a job which he left to find his own company, where he debuted his first car, the Zonda, in 1999, which was succeeded by this thing in 2011, the Pagani Huayra. Like the Zonda, this also got a V12 engine delivered by Mercedes, but this time it was downsized from 7.3 liters to only 6 liters and gained 2 turbochargers. The result, in the first Huayra, it produced 730 horsepower and around 1000 Newton meters of torque. I mean, 1000 Newton meters of torque. The Huayra BC came out as a special track focused edition of the regular Huayra in 2017, and it gained about 24 horsepower, the total power raising to 754 horsepower, although the torque remained roughly the same, around 1000 Newton meters. Although curiously, I found that in this game it's listed as 740 horsepower and 1100 Newton meters, so that's what we are experiencing right now. Now, Paganis are extremely exclusive and expensive. The most common Huayra you will ever find are the regular Huayra coupes and the Roadster, which was also launched in 2017. 100 of each were made. Just 100 of each. That's it. This thing, the Huayra BC, got a production run of just 20 units, followed by 40 Huayra BC Roadsters. Now, the abbreviation BC refers to Beni Cayola. He was the first ever customer of Pagani and a close friend of Mr. Horacio Pagani. Now, I said Paganis are expensive. This thing, when it came out, it costed roughly over $3 million, US dollars that is, which is insane. But Paganis really earned that price point. I mean, look at this interior. Like, Paganis are famous for their attention to detail, which they really took to another level with the Huayra, which had a much nicer interior than the Zonda, which was no slouch in the first place. These cars are light, alright. The standard Huayra, for example, weighed around 1.35 tons at launch. Dry weight, that is. This thing, when it came out, it gained, apart from extra horsepower and some aerodynamic trickeries, a 150 kilograms of weight loss. Well, almost 150 kilograms. This car weighs dry at 1218 kilograms. When you consider this car has a twin turbo V12 engine and mechanical bits that can withstand 1000 Newton meters of torque, you realize what an incredible feat that is. Pagani is obsessed with weight reduction. They're like the premium version of Lotus. Case in point, this car didn't really use a twin clutch gearbox, although twin clutch gearboxes were reasonably developed by the time this car came out. Although Pagani admitted that yes, a twin clutch would shift faster than this 7-speed single clutch, they didn't go for it because it's no less than 100 kilograms heavier. Now, weight reduction is something Horacio Pagani was always good at, even from his prior days at Lamborghini. He is in fact referred to by many as the godfather of carbon fiber. In fact, the business of carbon fiber was originally what led him to leave the employment at Lamborghini. So, obviously, his cars do not just use any regular carbon fiber. The original Huayra used something called the carbotanium, which is produced by weaving carbon fiber and fibers of titanium together. I mean, how do they think of these things? The result, it was lighter, it was stronger, and it didn't shatter on impact like regular carbon fiber. That material had evolved by the time the BC came out and is still evolving. Now, in today's day and age, 750 horsepower may not seem like much in the face of its hypercar competitors, all of which seem to have 1000 horsepower and hybrid systems, dual clutch gearboxes and whatnot, a technology fest. But this is still as fast, if not faster than the best of them. Reason being, the weight. All that added technology in modern hypercars, the benefits they provide, comes at a compromise in terms of weight. Something this car was born to avoid. Now there's another reason, an amusing one, why I choose this car for this exact track. One special edition that they launched fairly recently. I think it was back in 2019, of which only 5 will be produced. That was called the Pagani Imola, named after this very track. Now you notice how I said during our setup that I'm going to switch the traction control system on the fly, and didn't really do that until now. Well, I'm going to do that now, and I'm going to stop talking. Alright. I said that's enough. The tires are giving up now. So let's stop our session here and take a look at our lap times. Right here are our lap times of 146.911. What particularly staggers me is that I didn't lose much time in sector 3. When we get to the breakdown, you'll see that while coming out of turn 18, I had a massive oversteer. Despite that incident, I didn't lose much time in my other sectors, particularly the first sector. That time was staggering. I think it was the fastest of the bunch, right? Well, not quite. Lap number 5 was faster. Now, none of the lap times were outside our target here. In fact, I'm very satisfied with this session. Most of the laps, apart from the first one and 4 during the rest of the session, are in the 47s. And only one is more than 48, which is lap number 15. I went off track at turn 9 and that incident continued down to turn 10 and 11. Anyway, our fastest time is a 146.911. And here's the breakdown. Joining you on the main straight and across the line to start the lap. Flat out through turn 1. Coming up is turn 2, 3 and 4. Brake right in between the 200 and 250 meter markers. Release at the entry of turn 2. Look for mid-corner apex. Get back on throttle at the apex, modulating your throttle around turn 3 and 4. Lower the throttle at the exit of turn 4. Coming up is turn 5 and 6. As soon as you reach the 100 meter marker, brake hard for turn 5, release and brake again for turn 6. Get back on throttle at the apex and accelerate towards turn 7. Brake at the 50 meter marker, release at the entry, look for a late apex and accelerate out. Flat out through turn 8. Coming up is turn 9. Brake hard at the 100 meter marker, release at the entry, use both the inner and outer curbs as you gently accelerate. Flat out through turn 10. Coming up is turn 11, 12 and 13. Brake right in between the 50 and the 100 meter markers, release at the entry of turn 11, get back on throttle for a while and brake again for turn 12. Look for a mid-corner apex, get back on throttle at the apex and gently accelerate flat out through turn 13. Coming up is turn 14 and 15, the chicane. Brake hard as soon as you pass the 100 meter marker, again release at the entry, use both the inner curbs and very gently accelerate out of the corner, or just lower the throttle and let the traction control handle things. Flat out halfway through turn 16, where you brake right in between the 100 and 150 meter markers for turn 17. Turn in as you release the brakes, get back on throttle for a while and brake again for turn 18. Look for a late apex and floor the throttle on the exit. This is where I messed up because I forgot to turn the traction control off. That's why it's important. Flat out through turn 19, as the twin-turbo AMG V12 propels you across the start-finish line in the 146.911. So that's all for today. Let me know your thoughts about this video down in the comment box below. Also, if you have any favorite cars or tracks that you want to be featured in a future episode in this channel, let me know about those as well and I shall try to cover them. While you're down there, hit your favorite buttons, the like, share, subscribe and the bell notification icon, and I'll see you in my next video. Until then, drive hard, drive safe. Take care.